All right, good day. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Environmental Coffee House. Hey, like the music? I have a reason for it, and you will hear where we are going. We will be going to Saudi Arabia tonight and doing a little discussion about what's going on there. But first, this is last week in collapse, and I'm very grateful to be here. I'm very grateful to be able to use this, excuse me, this amazing material, Jared Brock. And I'm going to show you a way to go right to the last week in collapse Substack because it's really great. Okay. And everybody should subscribe and become a paid subscriber. There's nothing wrong. All right, so I'm going to get on to the other hang on. I'm going to get onto the screen share cuz I want to show you the last week in collapse and then I'll say hi to all of you. The Substack, which is really cool. And really quick, I don't know why my voice became that. Kim, thank you for moderating. And Lightning Rod, hi. Jean, thank you for moderating. And Dwayne's here. And everybody, Tommyist. And great. This is a good Chaz, hi. BB, Early Love, David, great to see all of you. But I have to put the chat away so I don't get sidetracked. So this is last week in collapse. And I think that it would be wonderful if you guys want to show support for me, but for this newsletter, because it's so spectacular. And I can't possibly do an entire show showing you everything that's in it. But I have nothing but utmost respect, and I feel really grateful that I can do this. So thanks for being with me. And thank you last week in collapse. Yes. Okay. So here we go. Lots going on since I saw you guys last time. I was away. I'm back. I've been really studying different things. And I don't understand why I have to call. I think it's allergy season, possibly. I don't know. Am I loud enough? Tell me how my audio is. It's been a while. All right, so we're going to get started. And here's how we start. Earth experienced its largest CO2 concentration increase over a 12-month period. Scientists say from March 2023 to 24, I know we've heard this. This is big news. It was a jump of 4.7 ppm of carbon dioxide blamed on what else? Deforestation, fossil fuels, and El Nino. Experts are saying that El Nino has peaked and will transition to La Nina within a few months. And I don't know, did I pull that up? Yeah. Okay. I'm just checking. I didn't pull that one up. But we know that La Nina comes. It lasts about 1 to 3 years, and it generally cools the Pacific Ocean. Also brings rain to India and Bangladesh, and among other changes, Earth experienced its greatest atmospheric moisture for the month of April. And I'm pretty sure that's the one I wanted to pull up from Weather Zone. News record-breaking global atmospheric moisture in April. Check it out. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to tell you that it comes as little surprise that record-breaking global air temperatures last month occurred alongside unprecedented atmospheric moisture. The amount of moisture in the Earth's atmosphere can be represented using a value called total column water, which refers to the total amount of water in a vertical column of the atmosphere, including water, vapor, cloud water, and cloud ice. It does not include the moisture that is present as precip, rain or snow. So this global water column The total water column list that was the highest on record for the month of April, beating the previous in 2016. And it's been raining here. But you see how from 1940 and how the average global atmospheric moisture changes? Doop, 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 like every other graph. Everything goes up. So April's record-breaking atmospheric moisture was caused by unrivaled warmth in the atmosphere, which allowed the air to hold more water, and unprecedented global ocean temperatures, which enhanced the evaporation. So pretty interesting stuff. And of course, all the links are there for all of you I know that go to the links and want to read everything you can get your voracious little appetites around, right? Okay. Especially last week it collapsed. So this is the anomaly, and it is just wild. April 2024, the water column anomaly. And we know about the area that had above average atmospheric moisture in April was the state of Rio Grande do Sul in southern Brazil, which was hit with deadly floods. Deadly floods. And I think I had this set up. I don't know if I had the video, but I did want to show you. I know I have a lot. What do I do that? Okay. There was a video somewhere. I may have missed it. I'm not going to go through. Oh, wait, here it was. All right. I don't know if you can hear it. Let's see. Again, I'm a little rusty. I don't know why.
Thousand homeless, with many desperate survivors seeking food and basic supplies. Relatives waited at the shore of the Guaiba River in the state capital of Porto Alegre to find their loved ones on the boats that brought rescued people from flood-hit areas. Taina Silva is still waiting for news on her husband.
My daughter won't stop crying. There are firefighters there, but they say they can't do anything from there, so I should come here and ask
So
the firefighters
sad.
here if they can save my husband there.
Oh, my God.
The flooding has made rescue efforts even tougher, with dozens of people still waiting to be evacuated by boat or helicopter from rain-stricken homes. The downpour that began last week has caused rivers to flood, inundating whole towns, destroying roads, bridges and airports. Now the rain is forecast to let up on Thursday, but then will continue
This
through
is
the
a
weekend.
familiar scene.
Experts say it's
throughout
driven
the
by a
world
heat wave
now.
caused by this year's El Niño phenomenon,
Yes, it
meeting
does,
a cold
Sad
front
Dominguez.
coming off the Antarctic
Sad
and unusual
Dingus.
humidity
Where
in the
is it?
Atlantic. In Porto Alegre,
Yeah.
a city of 1.3 million inhabitants, downtown streets were underwater after the Guaiba River breached its banks with record water levels. Civil defense authorities say the floods have also impacted water and electricity services, with more than 1.4 million affected overall.
Wow. That's so we're seeing these events everywhere, every week. Everywhere. So can you see now? Because I can turn that little thing on and off. And I turned it on and off. I like it. Usually doesn't get in the way. I like to play with all this stuff. All right, so we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. So all right, Venezuela lost its last glacier, the Humboldt, which was reclassified into an ice field. An ice field, guys. It was a glacier. The hell. It is the first modern nation to lose all of its glaciers. Scientists believe Indonesia, Mexico, and Slovenia are next in line to see the extinction of their glaciers. Colombia is also rapidly losing its 6 glaciers. This is epic. Epic. Epic tragedy. Okay? I don't know, that was that. Hang on. Sorry about Rusty. All right, that was the article about Brazil. And this one, no. Oh, yeah, this was the El Nino is on the way out after record-breaking heat. A record-breaking year of heat. And as I go, I'm going to shut them off. And that way I won't get confused since, like I said, I'm rusty. I was away last week. And then I didn't do the show on Friday night. So wildflowers. Oh, what am I thinking of? Wildfires in Chile have killed 100 people and injured and displaced thousands. Flooding in Afghanistan. And climate change, it's ruining cotton crops and livestock in Chad. Plus, flooding struck the Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC, overflowing rivers and latrines affecting 500,000 people. And some climatologists think that we have been underestimating how much climate change is driving greater rainfall and flooding. The worst is yet to come. And so El Nino's on its way out. And this was what I highlighted. The current shift to La Nina could make the Atlantic hurricane season worse this year. Ocean temperatures are already warm there, which can help fuel the growth of storms. La Nina also typically acts like a supporting character by reducing the wind shear in the atmosphere. Less wind shear makes it easier for hurricanes to strengthen. So the departure of El Nino doesn't mean 2024 will necessarily end the recent streak of record-breaking temperatures, with the last 8 years having been the hottest on record. Even while we shift into La Nina, we don't see the impacts that on global temperatures until later in the year. DiLiberto says we should expect 2024 to probably be in one of the top 5 warmest years on record. And we will be hearing lots of ice breaking, I'm sure. Yeah, warmest years on record. So here we go, guys. That's fun. The first week of May saw so many temperature records broken. Some are claiming that it might be the most record-breaking month in climactic history. Until June, that is. Earth has been seeing 13 months of records being broken for global sea surface temperatures. Literally 365 days of record-breaking ocean temperatures. We see that on Twitter X, where Elliot Jacobson, who's been our guest, how many times he does his calculations, and he has been demonstrating how the oceans are warming. And I've been seeing the coral reefs, the bleaching, listening to things that are happening around the world, and it is quite sad. And so but it's important material to understand, I think, in one place. A study in PNAS examined North Pacific warm blob heat waves from 2010 to 2020 and concluded that China's reduction in aerosols, which cleaned the air but also removed the sun reflective particles, incidentally, probably caused marine heat waves, which caused heat waves and killed fish and resulted in algae blooms. So, not this one. It's this. No. What happened to it? Oh, here it is. Okay. So computer models show heat waves in North Pacific may be due to China reducing aerosols. So there's a study that is telling us that by cleaning the shipping fuel, it is warming the planet. It's what Leon Simmons says. It's what James Hansen says, and Guy McPherson. I've got a lot of different names on me, right? But it's pretty intense. This, I think. I do. I think this is epic. A team of oceanographers at the University of China, working with a pair of colleagues from US and Germany, they found via computer modeling that the record heat waves in the North Pacific may, it's always may, be due to large reduction in aerosols emitted by factories in China. That's pretty hairy. And all right, it's factories. It's not just the shipping. So it's a double whammy, really, because this is supposed to be good. And I'm just going to go down to my highlighted area. Over the past decade, the North Pacific has experienced multiple heat waves, leading to fish die-offs, toxic algae blooms, or algae blooms, however you want to say it, and missing whales. Such heat waves have been generally attributed to global warming, but to date, no research has been able to pinpoint how global warming could cause such a sudden and variable increase in specific part of the planet. In this new effort, the research team noted that the onset of the heat waves appeared to follow successful efforts by Chinese government to reduce aerosol emissions from their country's factories. Beginning around 2010, factories and power generating plants in China began dramatically reducing emissions of aerosols such as sulfate. Okay. Now, really quick, aerosols, they can act like mirrors floating in the air, reducing or reflecting the heat from the sun back into space. All right. So, all I want to say about that one is that you think about how big that is. That the aerosols, which are in one case, China is a country where in Beijing, people would wear masks way before the pandemic because of air pollution. So they make the effort to take out the bad stuff, the stuff that's giving people lung issues and asthma and all that. And what happens? Well, people may get a little better, but it gets hotter and it's wild. It's a conundrum. It's definitely a conundrum. And we're just going to go back a little bit. I found what I wanted to show you in the flood in Afghanistan, which was just tragic. Let's check this one out. Oh my God.
مدارای دشار پلخمریز در براقا اما که سیل آمده که بخی تاریخ دمی طول 40-50 سالت کسی رقم خاطره نداره بدر بدر بسیار سیل سدید بدر در براقا بدر
Terrifying. Okay, so more of the same, more of what we have seen all over the world. But it's right in front of our faces. Bees are having difficulty in acclimatizing their nests to raising temperatures. The dugong, while still rarely seen in parts of the world, has been declared extinct inside China, having gone 24 years without a known sighting. And let's see what happened here. It's going to take a minute. This is a dugong, a manatee-like animal declared extinct in China. And if you think that that's not going to happen to the manatees in Florida, that's next because of all the toxics in the water and the algae that's killing the water and the toxic blooms. So another one bites the dust. I hate to sound like that. And in Florida, the suburbification of land under development is pushing the Florida panther closer to extinction. Some 100 panthers remain in the Sunshine State. I made a video about Florida. It's on my channel. It's on the channel. I called it Florida, the crane state and not the bird. I went down there and took footage, and it is just cranes everywhere. So where in the world is any kind of panther going to live in Florida? Think about that, right? Siberia's Batagaikas crater, I prefer its alternative title, Mega Slump, is expanding by about 1 million cubic meters every year. Scientists naturally blame the rapid permafrost melting on climate change. So that's what's happening here. I don't know, can make this bigger. See, there it is. There's the crater. And it is not doing well. Nope. A cruise ship entered New York City with an endangered 44-foot or 13.4 meter dead sea whale stuck on its bow in the front. Investigators are looking into whether it was already dead when the ship hit it. When I read this story, I was sick. Can you imagine what the people on the pier must have felt like? I mean, this is probably more common than we hear, but this happened to happen in New York City. A study in Conservation Letters looked at the 100 largest marine protected areas, which cover 7.3% of all ocean area, and found that almost 60% of this area is not in the range of meeting the 2030 preservation goals. Yeah, okay. Nothing's going to. I played the wrong one. Of course. See, actively managed or implemented, there's designated or proposed oceans all over the world, and like 7.3% of ocean area. Yeah, okay. So, the ocean area that Antarctica is going to become is not going to be protected, even though there's all kinds of things in place. There's a lot of oil under there, but that's for next week. Part of India broke May records already, the Maldives too. Eastern Ukraine ended a far warmer and wetter April as usual, and a heat wave in Mexico scorched previous May temperature records across 10 cities, as well as small regional blackouts. Yep. North America felt its hottest May temperature ever. Hottest. All right, now we're going to go on to our health. AstraZeneca is pulling its COVID vaccine from the EU over a rare blood clotting side effect. Nevertheless, some experts claim that vaccine saved over 6 million lives. Whatever U.S. CDC data on COVID is still available points to a small rise in cases later this summer, mostly from the growing KP.2 flirt variant. When I looked at that, and I don't know if no, I didn't take it out, but it was very interesting information about thrombocytopenia, these different illnesses people get. And so they really can't yet say if it caught. Remember, I always say causation, correlations, not necessarily causation. So I'm really waiting for data, but they're pulling it, which is a good thing, because if people have a propensity for thrombocytopenia or blood clots, that should not be on the market. All right. So, and I'm just taking a very normal and natural viewpoint. Get it off the market. Okay. COVID patients and immunocompromised individuals are still using lots of healthcare resources for whatever's left. And the rise of resistant superbugs is developing alarmingly fast. According to the article, it only takes about a year on average for bacteria to grow resistant to treatment, when they used to take 21 years to evolve back in the 1960s. Wow. Engineers and medical professionals remain concerned about nanoplastics, which we all know and love, between 1 and 1,000 nanometers wide. 1 grain of sand is about 500,000 nanometers, and 1 strand of DNA is 2.5 nanometers. A single wavelength of light ranges from 400 to 700 nanometers. Think about what's in us. What have we consumed? And why are all these weirdo sicknesses having us in their clutches? Could be. Correlation is not causation, but I'm going to tell you what. I would say that nanoplastics and PFAS and all of these offshoots of oil basically are killing us, besides the lousy food system here in the United States. Okay, South Africa's water shortage is projected to worsen through at least 2025. Nairobi's water shortage continues despite the city's dams being filled with floodwater. Costa Rica is facing a drought. Jean from Costa Rica. So bad it's rationing electricity. They're rationing the electricity. And this was in the Straits Times. And I thought I had brought that up. So suffering the worst drought in decades, Costa Rica orders electricity rationing. Struck by the worst drought in 5 decades, Costa Rica announced electricity rationing. This was on May 10th. On Thursday, blaming a severe lack of rainfall that has hobbled hydroelectric plants. So it's wild because places you think are rainy are not, and places that aren't are very rainy, and we have had the wettest year. So there's no rhyme or reason sometimes. And this nation, famed for its beach, oh, what is that? Can you see that? I don't know what that is. Beaches, lush landscapes that power ecotourism, normally gets about 70% of its electric supply from plants. Jean said it's her turn for no electricity tomorrow. Yep. We're glad to have you. We hope that will, we hope that will turn itself around somehow. So they said it was El Nino because of this, but the power cuts implemented are scheduled to last up to 3 hours a day, but will not affect hospitals, industry, or other high voltage customers. So let's hope that's something that goes away. And what can I say, Jean? You know, nothing's for sure at all. So these measures, these mitigating measures, have to be put in place. Okay, Mexico City. On to Mexico City. The second most populous city by metro area, 21.8 million. Sao Paulo is number one at 22 million. In North America is seeing more than 20% of freshwater sources exhausted, and rationing, it's not enough. It's almost like we're living at unsustainable levels of consumption. What do you think? Yep. As Latin America warms and suffers flooding, disease is becoming more common, as well as heat stroke and serious hunger. Benin is refusing Niger the permission to use its port to export oil as a result of a border dispute. And a paywalled study in Nature Water tested a new method for removing PFAS foam particles in water, with near complete destruction of PFAS in various water samples contaminated by the foams. The process involves ultraviolet light sulfite in a process called electrochemical oxidation and does not require high heat or high pressure. The number of U.S. states phasing out PFAS is growing. As forcible repatriations of thousands of Afghans continue, millions of Afghans are suffering from a lack of humanitarian aid, aggravated by recent deadly flash floods in the beleaguered, landlocked, failed state. Yeasty superfungus, Candida auris infections were detected in 77 cases in Germany last year, authorities say. Candida auris was only identified 15 years ago, but its 3 separate genetic variants, each on a different continent, have stealthily and stubbornly grown to pose a stealth threat to humankind. It is incredibly resistant to antifungal drugs, and it survives at higher temperatures than most other fungi. The WHO has listed it on the short list of top fungal pathogen dangers. So what do we have to do? Wear full bodysuits? 3 cats died from H5N1 in the United States last week. Some health professionals are getting more worried about a future H5N1 jump to become human-to-human transmissible, and claim that we are not ready as a species. Experts say we're not doing enough testing and may already be in the prologue of a much more devastating pandemic. Scientists still say it's unlikely that a strain will make the critical mutation necessary, but the similarities between human and cow and other mammal flu receptors present potential complications. Scary. The world is supposedly being divided into 3 general trade blocs, U.S., China, and the non-aligned states. For better or worse, globalization is crumbling, and governments are imposing tariffs, attempting to reshore industries and restructure debt and credit flows. What will happen when the people, long trained to expect high returns, find their profits wanting? Now, I don't think I put anything up for that one. No. All right. 2 camps for internally displaced people near Goma were bombed, killing 12 and injuring 20. The perpetrators and their motives are unclear. And I believe that this was the one, these bomb attacks. It's just awful. And look how people have to live in these refugee camps. It's all over the world, including Los Angeles, if you want to call it that. You know, they may not be refugee camps, but they're encampments for not having homes to live in. But it's a different problem. We're not having wars on the streets yet. Aid group Save the Children said it was present at one of the camps when shells struck close to a busy marketplace ahead of their vehicles. It said dozens were injured, mostly women and children, and the death toll was still unclear. Children and women. Children and women. All over the world. Rising crime. Drinking water. Closing the Darien Gap. Those were the issues propelling Panama's president-elect to a victory last Sunday. The arrival of rain is also improving conditions on the drought-choken Panama Canal, expected to return to normal for at least a month or two. See how that goes. A wave of Chinese espionage, much of it several years old, is sweeping Europe. Of particular concern is a hack of a British military personnel information uncovered on Tuesday, which of course China denies. Similar espionage against the U.S. has reportedly cost the economy hundreds of billions a year. I had to look at that one. Let me pull that one up. Hundreds of billions a year. The U.S. economy is losing as much as $600 billion a year in intellectual property from Chinese espionage. That's pretty wild. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing because honestly, it's probably long and convoluted, but this is what happens. There's hacks, and everybody hacks everybody else. And I'm sure that other countries are probably saying, well, the United States hacked us. You know, who am I to say, right? But it's just interesting that that's a big dollar amount. It's a huge dollar amount. And I did not go as far, and I'm not going to go in this show as far as finding out, you know, how they get the data. But it's happening. Kenya's mission to stabilize Haiti is inching forward slowly. Preparations ramp up for global security force to quell Haitian violence. More than half a dozen nations have pledged personnel to a multinational effort to stabilize Haiti, where gangs have taken over much of the capital, setting off a major humanitarian crisis. So there's a U.S. military plane filled with contractors and supplies have been going to Haiti, paving the way for a 7-nation security mission led by Kenya to deploy to the troubled Caribbean nation in coming weeks. American officials say millions of Haitians go hungry. A military-style deployment is estimated to cost $600 million. It's just a fraction of the funding. I would rather fund this than the war that's happening in Gaza. Absolutely. Biden administration officials would not say whether a precise date for deployment had been set. The Kenyan government did not respond to requests for comment. So things are happening there to try to get some kind of help to these people. That's so it's just needed. At least one Saudi villager was killed to make room for the line and reports claim Saudi forces have been given the green light to clear other people who get in the way of development. So, actually, that is why I had the original, music. So, we're going to see the first of the videos I prepared. All right? So, hang on and I'll set it up. We're going to watch it. And please pay attention. This is wild what's going on there. It is absolutely wild. Okay, hang on. Hang on. Oh.
Ever wondered what the future of Saudi Arabia might look like under Vision 2030?
It's a home for people who dream big. Bigger than that. That's more like it. It'll be a hub for innovation, an entirely new model for sustainable living. The vision for a new future. In fact, that's how it got its name. But what will be there? There's Oxagon, a thriving city at the crossroads of the world, where advanced manufacturing will enable industries of the future. Trojena, a year-round mountain destination. And just remember to pack your skis when you visit. Or if skiing's not your thing, there's always Sindala, one of Neom's many beautiful islands, perfect for some R&R. And Align, a 500-meter high, 200-meter wide, 170-kilometer long city in the shape of, well, a line. No roads, cars, or emissions. And everything its 9 million residents could ever need within a 5-minute walk. But best of all, the entire region will offer unparalleled access to nature and will be powered by clean energy. All within easy reach of the rest of the world. I know what you're thinking. Why does the world need Neom?
That's a good question.
The world needs Neom because the world needs change. That's what we mean when we say
Made to change.
Neom represents a global opportunity for one, changing how the world does business by making the region a special economic zone, easing the way for entrepreneurs to blaze their trail. Two, changing the way we live our lives with preventative healthcare and the highest standards of livability. Sounds nice, right? And three, changing how we look after nature and our planet.
Arabia has scaled back its medium-term ambitions for the development of Neom. The project is part of the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's plans for diversifying the oil-dependent West Asian economy. Now, by 2030, the government hoped to have 1.5 million residents living in the line, a futuristic city under the Neom project. But according to sources, now the city will house fewer than 300,000 residents by that time.
which include the use of force to evict people to make way for Neom. According to reports, Saudi Arabia has authorized its forces to crack down on any villages that protest the relocation. The former Saudi colonel claims that he was tasked with relocating villagers in a region which was on the end of Neom city. And the officer says that tribes began protesting over news of relocation as they inhabited the region for generations. The protests then turned violent, leading Saudi Arabia's forces to put an end to demonstrations. The retired Saudi colonel, who is now based in the United Kingdom, claims that one of the tribe members was actually shot dead in the scuffle. And the officer added that Saudi government supported the troops who took action against the protest. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia's government says that the tribes opened fire first and the death happened when its troops acted in self-defense. There's also reports of Riyadh detaining tribe members who protested against relocation as their land was in fact taken away. In fact, some of the armed protesters were eventually turned rebels and given harsh sentences, including the death penalty, by the Saudi government.
Well, that's the whole thing. Nobody had an idea, right? Or if you did, I mean, there's just so much going on. But I put that together because, well, here, I put it together because I could have, here, this is it. This is the, this is the story. And instead of just looking at it and reading it, that's what the town's going to look like. I made it creative so you could understand what was happening. They are killing the people and clearing the people. You know, in the United States, it's called eminent domain, don't you? And they take the property from people for pipelines and highways. Well, they don't kill them here, but they do in Saudi Arabia. And, well, I think it's crazy. I mean, who are the people? Who are the 9 million people that are chosen to live there? All right. So I don't want to go through this whole thing. You saw it in the video, but this is what one village looked. They took it all away, clearing it to make way for this ridiculous thing. But of course, it's not even on budget. It's not. It's crazy. But if you want more on it, well, we'll find some more on it. But meanwhile, that was the first thing I wanted to get you guys to see. Kind of wild, huh? Holy crap. It's the line. All right. Germany's defense ministry is seriously considering recommending conscription for its 18-year-olds later this summer. Displacement in Myanmar has spiked over the last 6 months and now counts 3 million plus since the February 2021 coup, which has sparked more open resistance. Tunisia ejected 400 migrants into Libya. Kazakhstan is expelling Tajik migrants in far-ranging sweeps. In Lebanon, vigilante attacks against Syrians have become more common. Mauritania is conducting military drills along part of its border with Mali after reports of Malian soldiers attacking border settlements. All right. We're going to have another video. Although this one's longer, but I am showing it to you guys because it is from Human Rights Watch. It is incredible to see how they put this together, but everybody really has to pay attention if you want to learn about that massacre. A lengthy report from Human Rights Watch, complete with timelines, testimony, war crimes, and other horrors. It's 150 pages. But I'm going to play this video. Sit back, really pay attention and learn what's going on in Sudan, because that place has the country has moved me. All of everything that these people go through in Sudan is just, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, Darfur. So let me play this one. Be right there.
كل الأحداث وكل الانتهاكات اللي حصلت دي أنا ما اتأثرت زي الإعادة بتاع الدكتور محمد آدم. أنا لما دخلت في كارنو كويس الجنوبية الغربية لقيت صديقي مدسر زادة وهو في الركن بتاع الركن أو الكارنو بتاع المبنى وباتجاه الجنوب الغربي وقاعد زي زول نايم بس يعني حالته طبيعي وهو فعلا ميت طبعا. أنا لما جيت لقيته مرسل كان قال لي إنه اتساب في ظهره كويس بتلقى كويس وكان قالوا لنا إنه تلقى بتاعت دشكل عنه كبير وكده ودخلوا مع مرق.
On April 15, 2023, war breaks out in Sudan. It marks an escalation of the power struggle between two military leaders who have vied for power since they jointly overthrew a power-sharing government in October 2021. The war pits the military against an autonomous force known as the Rapid Support Forces, or RSF. By April 24, 2023, the conflict spreads to Guinea, the capital of West Darfur State. The atrocities that followed are documented by Gamal and other local human rights activists with the aim of bringing those responsible to justice.
أنا كنت في إعادة صداقة من يوم 24 إبريل من أول يوم في الحدث. أنا كنت قاعد في الإعادة ومعي مجموعة بتاعي أو زملائي كويس في المنظمة. كنا بنعمل في الإعادة ابتداءً كان يهو دور اللي كنا نقوم به ويهو مسألة بتاع التوثيق بالنسبة للجرحى كويس والناس القتلى كويس والمصابين وكل الناس اللي كانوا بيجيبوهم على الإعادة وكده. كنا بنوثق على الحاجات دي من حيث يعني عدد بتاعهم وأسمائهم كويس وخلفياتهم وعناوينهم يعني بيانات كلها كده كنا قاعدين نوثق على الحاجة دي.
Gamal and his colleagues noticed a pattern to the killing. The RSF and allied Arab militias were targeting doctors, lawyers, and human rights activists. Majority Masalid neighborhoods and camps for internally displaced people were also being systematically targeted. The violence feels all too familiar to Gamal and others in West Darfur State, who recall fleeing their home villages in the early 2000s after being attacked by the Janjaweed, the predecessor of the RSF. Thousands were displaced, including many Masalid people. They found refuge in the camps for internally displaced people that swelled the outskirts of Guinea. The conflict then occurred against the backdrop of long-standing tensions over land and other resources between non-Arab farmers such as the Masalid and nomadic Arab communities who were starting to settle. On June 15, 2023, RSF and Arab militias overwhelmed the remaining Masalid majority neighborhoods. Tens of thousands of Masalid and other non-Arabs tried to flee central Guinea for its northern suburb of Ardamata, where there is a Sudanese armed forces base. The RSF and militias attacked the convoy, injuring and killing men, women, and children.
وكنت مرافق لصديقي كابلو يوسف هارون كابلو وما قعدنا دقائق جينا لقينا مجموعة بتاعت ناس عددهم زي 8 أو كم كويس دي الميليشيات كلهم ياهو على زي الرسمي بتاعت دعم الصري ومعهم آخرين ميليشيات يعني عادية الميليشيات العربية المعروفة دي. وجو في البداية كانوا بخاطبوا الناس وقفوا العربات فكوا فينا نار كويس رصاص في صدور عارية كويس للأطفال للنساء كويس لناس مسنين لرجال لشباب وبصورة كده غريبة جدا. بعد ذاك هو فكرنا في إنه إحنا نهرب يعني لكن الهروب ذاتها كان بيحتاج لأنه يعني طريقة ممكن تهرب يعني لأنه دي ذخيرة أنت تهرب فيها وشويتين برضو في مطاردة بدت للناس الجايين للوادي كويس وفي ذخيرة كويس مدورة جوا الموية يعني برصوا ناس ذخيرة وكده. فدي كان يعني حادث مريبة بالنسبة لنا ما قدرنا دخلنا ولا قدرنا نرجع ورا. لقينا جيش قعدنا في دفاع بتاعت الوادي قعدنا في الجيش. بعد ده كلام ده يوم 15 يعني يوم الانسحاب 15 يعني قبل طلوع الشمس بزمن. طيب بعد ذاك هو لقينا طريقة حاولنا جرينا كويس لورا. وفي حي المجلس برضو كان يعني حدث مريب جدا حصلت لنا. احنا لما كنا جايين في الطريق كنا بنلقى جثث يعني بتاعت ناس ميتين اطفال نساء وكده. بعد ذاك يعني في جثث بتاعت ناس احنا نعرفهم شخصيا لكن ما تقدر تقف تعمل حاجه لزول ميت قاعد في الشارع وكده. كنا عابرين بس ياهو لانه احنا ذاتنا مدخوتين من ورانا ذخيره وكده. مشيت لقيت واحد بنعرفه قلت له يا اخي اسمع كابلو صاحبي ده خليه يركب معك هو مصاب كويس وانا ده ما مشكله نمشي مع الناس دي. قال لي خلاص اربيتي مليان لكن خلاص خليه يركب. جينا مسافه وقعنا في الهجوم كويس ياهو ذخيره في اتجاه تو بيقى شغال كويس والناس من بعيد بيشوفهم انه بيقتلوا كده بقوا كده. طيب اللحظه ده كان انا معي يعني واحد طفل عمره في حدود 9 سنة، الولد ده بيبكي وكان يعني بجي بمسكني وكده كويس. احنا ماشيين ولحد ما وصلنا في حفير كده ميليشيا شافونا، يمكن احنا لما كنا داخلين لانه هم كانوا على مسافة قريبة مننا، جو طلعونا وبعد ذاك عذبونا كويس، عذبونا دقونا كده كويس وضربوا فينا ذخيرة هوائية وكده، وبعد منهم بيقولوا نقتلهم، بعد منهم لا ما نقتلهم وكده. انا شالوا مني يعني، او كلنا اللي عندنا ممتلكاتنا اللي كنا شايلين شالوا مننا. انا كنت عندي 2 تلفون، وبعد ذاك كنت عندي فلاش كويس، وكنت عندي ياهو قروش. الولد الصغير عمره 9 سنة كان راقد معي سوا كده كويس. الدق والدرب بقى كتير، يعني في حديد بتاعت حفارة كويس كان بضربونا بوه، وفي عصايات وفي سيتان كانوا قاعدين بدقونا بوه. الولد صغير ده ما يتحمل كويس، لما كان رقدونا على بطوننا كده ولد ده قام واقف، لما قام وقف طوالي ده تلقى في راسه فجر كويس ومات في الحال. هنا مسكونا لمرة تاني، وبعد ذاك عذبونا وحاولوا كويس بيسألوا فينا أسئلة كويس، إنه بيسألوك من قبيلتك، إذا قلت إنه قبيلتك أنا مسلاتي طوالي تاهم بيقتلوك في الحال يعني. فعلا إنه أنا نكرت قبيلتي، أنا فعلا مسلاتي لكن نكرت قلت له أنا مسلاتي كويس، ودخلوني كده وقال لي قبيلتك شنو، أنا قلت له أنا برقاوي كويس، وجابوا لي زول كويس بعرف كلام برقو كويس، وأنا بعرف كلام برقو كويس. يا هو حاول كويس خاطبني بكلام برقو، أنا جاوبت معه بكلام برقو. طوالي قال يا أخي دخل له، جينا دخلنا طوالي في أراضي شنو تشادية، اتفاجأنا لقينا قدامنا حكومة تشادية، أساكر التشادية كاكي بتاعهم بيشبه كاكي بتاع الدام السرية الخريبة كويس، وبرضه شايلين سيتان كويس، يعني سيتان العادية ده شايلين زول بيكون عنده صوت وعنده سلاح وكده، ونفس دام السرية حقنا ده عندهم الكلام ده. ولما جايين داخلين وجاهرين كده كويس، هم بيقولوا اي ما تجروا كده. اتفاجأنا قلنا تاني، جينا لقينا دام السرية، قبلنا تاني من هناك رجعنا شنو على اديكم جرينا، يعني اساكر ديل اجتهدوا اللي جروا من ورانا فهمونا قالوا اني هنا حكومه شاديه، اني هنا حكومه شاديه كويس، وما يعني اتمنى الا بعد جينا لقينا علم الشادي ده كويس مكتوب في كاكي بتاعهم، عرفنا انه حكومه شاديه، وقالوا اني هنا ده حكومه شاديه وده اراضي شاديه وبكان ده امن، واخوانكم ذات مشوا بجاي فضلوا امشوا. كنت تعبان طبعا، رفعوني كويس وودوني المستشفى كويس، وياهو في المستشفى مشيت لقيت شنو الزول اللي كان جاي معي صديقي كابيلو اللي ركبته في العربيه ده هو ذاته جاء كويس وودوه المستشفى. دي كل المعاساه كويس اللي احنا يعني تجربه عشناها في الشارع، رغم الصدمه الكبيره ورغم المجازر الفظيعه كويس اللي حصلت لغرب دارفور. لسه عليه امل كبير، ملجأ مكان سيء، مكان غربة، مكان فيه قساوة بتاعت حياة، يعني ما مكان إنه ممكن زول يعني يعيش. فبالتالي أنا أملي إنه يعني جنينا يمكن يتعافى في أقرب وقت ممكن، وإحنا هنرجع. ده في حال إنه تضافرت الجهود في يعني الحاجة اللي عندها علاقة بالعدالة، لأنه ما إحنا محتاجين يحققوا لنا عدالة كويس، محتاجين يرسوا لنا مبادئ بتاعت حقوق إنسان، مبادئ بتاعت يعني كل المواثيق الدولية اللي قاعد تتكلم عن كرامة كويس بتاعت حياة والكرامة بتاعت الإنسان. إذا اتجسدت فعلا في غرب دارفور إحنا على أمل كبير نرجع جنينة.
So there you have it. I thought Human Rights Watch, I didn't have anything to do with that one. Human Rights Watch did a beautiful job explaining and between the art and the discussion, and this man made it to Chad, which is having its own climate issues. He made it, and he described all of the horror he saw, but he still holds some hope that he could go back and that the justice system in his country I don't know. It's just it was inspiring, but yes, Jean, it was where's Jean's comment? It was an amazing and horrifying story, but this is just one among so many. Among so many. So, but I share with you because, well, everybody else is sharing Gaza. And because there's so much more, I have to show other places because you can go to 100 channels and see that, but you can't see this. So thank you to Human Rights Watch for providing that beautiful what prompted me to show the story right here. In Sudan, over 200 witnesses corroborated reports of that massacre, which I did show in the last show, but not quite like this. It's the report from Human Rights Watch, has timelines, testimony, war crimes, and other horrors from Sudan. Now we move on. A Hamas attack on Sunday, which killed 4 Israeli soldiers, reportedly pushed the Rafah invasion ahead of schedule. The IDF took over the Egypt Gaza border and is scaling up operations in southern Gaza. In response, the U.S. paused arms transfers to Israel. Any chance of a ceasefire, if there ever really was a credible chance, will have to wait. Diarrhea soaring in Gaza due in large part to a critical water shortage caused by the destruction of wastewater treatment plants. I don't know if you guys remember I did a video on the differences between Israel and Gaza, and I showed I'll have to put it back up so you can see it. I showed the wastewater treatment plants and all of the sewage treatment plants that they had, and I juxtapositioned it with Israel. It was sobering. Uh, this is the destruction of wastewater treatment plants, the damage to water infrastructure, and large scale displacement. A new evacuation order has commanded over 1 million people in Gaza to leave before a more comprehensive invasion of Rafah begins. I see you, Christy. Okay, I will. I'll do it. I'll clip it up together and put my sources. All right. So this is the Gaza Strip, Egypt, Israel. They just, they're going to do it. 1.4 million out of Gaza's 2.3 million people are currently sheltering in Rafah. I wish I had the picture I had put up on Twitter about it was just I filmed it off of the television, and it showed women holding their cat and the man, and they're driving away in a vehicle to get out of where they were, and you just think of the human tolls of all these things, and nobody thinks of the animal tolls. Their pets. They were taking their cat. How does that work? A day after President Putin was inaugurated for his 5th term, he ordered a wide strike at Ukrainian infrastructure across 7 oblasts. Most of the missiles and drones were shot down. And another plot to assassinate Zelensky was foiled. Lithuania is considering sending military trainers into Ukraine. Putin announced that Russian forces would target Western soldiers deployed in Ukraine and begin drills simulating nuclear weapons if Britain's involvement grows. So are they, what is it, wagging the dog? Are they empty, hollow? Because anyone that would use these things, if you're going to, even threatening them, you get the environmental coffee house flush of the day. Already, Belarus conducted a military drill with missiles and planes capable of using nukes. In addition to extending Ukraine's mobilization by another 90 days, the government has also allowing some convicts to fight on the battlefield in exchange for reduced sentences. Poland is allegedly considering repatriating thousands of draft-eligible Ukrainian men, and Germany is emphasizing the need for Ukrainian refugees to work. Japan is boosting investment in a hypersonic missile interceptor project with the United States. Isn't that nice? A large scale Russian offensive has begun across the front lines, particularly around Kharkiv. And Russia's military Ministry of Foreign Affairs is beginning to talk of genocide in Moldova, which could provide the pretext for another special operation in Transnistria and perhaps beyond. So let's see what's going on there. Assess control of terrain in Ukraine and main Russian maneuver as of the 10th. So they're moving in. They're moving in. And again, I will mention that movie 20 Days in Mariupol, that if you haven't seen it, you really should. It's on YouTube. Okay, it was quite something. Quite something. And yes, Russia takes 5 villages in Ukraine's Kharkiv region. So that is a lot of stuff in collapse, isn't it? What do you think? I think that we've done quite well. You hung with me. Only 1 hour and 4 minutes and 2 videos, and you went around the world. So let's see what you guys are saying. Let me read the super chats and thank people for their generosity, which, if you only knew, I guess it's gratitude night. I lost 2 cousins in one day last week, and that's very sad. And each one had a story, but my one cousin had a real sad story, and it's just been a weird week. I had 3 weeks of sciatic and really bad pain, but I vented about it, and it's getting better. So here I am. Dwayne, and I have a lot of gardening to do, and I haven't even started any of those. The Anthropocene gardener because I'm behind on everything. Dwayne, you're so Dr. Dwayne Custer. Now, all we can do is be in the present moment, care for our neighbors if they need it, and focus on localization. Soon we won't have the luxury of globalization. Try growing your own food too and learn how to sew or knit. That's beautiful, Dwayne. Thank you. Thank you. Nadia. Hi, Nadia. I missed you in New York. I wish we could have hung out, but I wasn't able to because I wasn't in control. The USA West is manufacturing a pretext to invade Haiti, to force austerity, and allowing military bases to ring fence the Caribbean against future opponents in war, and of course, to protect investments. Well, there's always an ulterior motive, but I like to sometimes think that maybe my country, the United States, is doing a few good things. I mean, it's nice. Maybe that's hopium. Maybe it's delusional, but you always want to see something good. Thank you, Ken. That's very generous. Thank you for being here. Israel has universal health care and guaranteed housing and such luxurious social benefits, whilst the USA hordes of homeless are 10 times plus official numbers and hundreds and thousands, yes, denial of health care. Absolutely. We are a huge country. We have a lot of problems. I could do a whole show on the healthcare system and what has recently happened to me in the healthcare system, actually. So, yeah. Yep. We'll have to do a show on this. I think I'll have to look and really do some good research in this because I am interested. It's just I do 2 shows a week, and Friday nights I've got guests. So who do I have with me this Friday night? Let me look. See. This is the 17th. I don't have anybody this Friday night yet. But I've got somebody the 24th and the 31st, and I'm not going to tell you who yet because I'm working on like little promo videos for each of them in between trying to get out to my garden and get those beds cleaned. It's been a little late here. It's been a little rainy and I'm behind and I was gone a lot. So anyway, All right, guys. Oh, I know. It doesn't matter. There's some really good ones locally, though. There are some really good state people that care about where they live. Unfortunately, when it percolates up to more power, it corrupts, and we know it corrupts. Always have to have an enemy. That way, people don't look at the lack of democracy in their own country. Yeah, very interesting comment, Jean. And okay. Well, I'm just looking to see if there's anything else. Yeah, you think? Aw, you've been on hiatus. Hey, you've been on hiatus. They can't silence my giant chat mouth. Well, welcome. Welcome. It's really great to see you. And thank you, Spice, for being here. Thanks, everybody. I'll figure out Friday night. I can't believe I haven't scheduled anybody. Oh, my God. So we'll think. Maybe we can get Dr. Nicholas Humphrey, who just graduated with his PhD as well. And I don't know, though. He's pretty busy, but you know what? I can always try. All right, guys. Well, we're going to have some. Pretend we're in Saudi Arabia. Right? All right, guys. Love you. See you Friday.